Welcome to The Secret Place with Bennett, devotions for hungry hearts and searching souls.
Hey there, I cannot stop reading this Wisdom of the Wilderness. I also found a couple of other books by Gerald May, and I am reading them too concurrently. Hi there, this is Steffa in The Secret Place. I'm so glad you're with me today. This book is something I told you about last week or the week before, and in the very first chapter, Dr. May writes this. It's all about wilderness, right? We talked about what is wilderness and what it means to go through it. So this is what he says about it. He says, wilderness is not just a place. It's also a state of being. If happiness means being happy and sadness means being sad, then wilderness means being wilder. Look it up and you'll find that the primary meaning of wild is natural. In turn, natural comes from the Latin nasci, meaning to be born. Words like natal, nativity, and native come from the same root, all referring to birth. Love that etymology, don't you? Oops. See, that's what happens when I go on a rabbit trail. Wilderness, then, is not only the nature you find outdoors. It can also refer to your own true nature, the you that is closest to your birth. This inner wilderness is the untamed truth of who you really are. Wow, the untamed truth of who you really are. Do you know who you really are? Do you know the untamed truth? When's the last time you got out there and you were a little wild? When's the last time you just started dancing in the middle of the day, or went on a wild adventure, or took a little bit of a risk on a road trip and had some fun hiking or something? When's the last time you did that? We are so cosmopolitan, especially we here in the city down in South Florida and New York City and all the major cities of the country and the globe. You know, you can get so accustomed to city living, to cosmopolitan living, that even if you're not all sophisticated and haughty-taughty and whatnot, just like we just take the electricity for granted, we take the automobiles for granted, we take our internet for granted, all of the things that we have in the city. I know the country has them too, but we take them for granted and start to just kind of live in that bubble, sometimes forgetting to get out. Even on vacation, sometimes it's just we become just tourists who just don't do anything, but we're just there observing instead of really getting out and being wild. It's a different idea about the wilderness that I talked about last time, but it does have a correlation because May is talking about getting to know, or how it means getting to know the you that is closest to your nature, closest to your birth. This inner wilderness is the untamed truth of who you are. The inner wilderness. Yeah, so how do you get there? How do you get to that inner wilderness if you, I mean, what can we say? If we were in the room together right now, what would you say? You might say, what? I have no time, Steffa. I'm working 90 hours a week. Okay. What else might you say? Well, it's not just the time, but I don't know how to get to my heart and the inside of my heart. Half the time, I don't even know what I feel. I'm just surviving here, Or my heart's God's business. He made me, and so I just leave it to Him. Or the heart, getting to the birth or the truest nature of my heart. My wife or my husband is the only one who kind of knows that. You might throw all kinds of things at me if we were in a room together talking about this. And that's because there are many reasons and things, distractions that keep us from considering our heart. I also think that in many religious circles, the talk of the heart is suspect. I've experienced that, where you don't talk about your feelings and you don't talk about what's really deep in your heart. If you do, it's all about purity or impurity. as if that's the only thing that the heart can handle or is about, whether the heart is pure or whether the heart is not pure. But the heart center of our life, the deepest part, you might want to call that our soul. There's different names for it. There's a depth there, and it is crying out in each of us, crying out to, for its true essence, for its trueness, for the truth of who it is, of who we are. And sometimes very often that cry is muffled. It's like a silent cry. And long, long ago, as children, we learned how to muffle that cry. We learned to buck up, and we're trained to just be polite, all things that we need to do and to be. But we learn how to push down the feelings and not let them affect us. And our heart gets sturdier, but it also can get harder. And it can harden to where it's bitter and it's absolutely closed shut, locked, the key is thrown away. So how do we revive or renew, or maybe the word is really recover? How do we recover our heart's true home? How do we recover our truest self? I try to be so careful not to give a glib, easy answer. But I have to start with, I think, seeking God out and saying, Lord, reveal to me my heart. Show me what's in there. Show me what's covering it. So, like the Bible tells us again and again, seek my face, says the Lord. Seek the Lord, and you will find him. As we seek him, he shows us himself, and he shows us ourselves. And so I think that's the start, because I don't think we can do it ourselves. I think therapy is growing in popularity these days because more and more people are realizing they can't do it themselves. They need someone to help them. Well, we have. Therapy is a great source. If you find a good therapist, it's a great way to get some help that way. But that's not the only way either. Remember, I was talking about the Enneagram a couple of weeks ago as a tool. That's a great tool too, but it's not the only tool. The first and primary thing that needs to happen or needs to be understood is that God is the only one who can transform our hearts. And he can't transform our hearts until we become aware that we need them transformed, that we need to recover, to find, to know the truest, best version of ourselves, who we are at the root, who we are at the center of it all. And I urge you to go back if you haven't done this. It's good to do every once in a while as well. So even if you have done it, I urge you to maybe go back and spend some time in the quiet, considering or reflecting on some times as a child where you felt wild and free. Where I remember a time at the Jersey Shore where my brothers and sisters and I were playing in a big refrigerator box. My parents got, now I'm sounding ancient, right? My parents got a new refrigerator and they threw the box out and we asked if we could play with it. And they said, sure. And so we were climbing in and out of that. It was like our little house. Then we began rolling around in it. All four of us fit in that box. We must have been, I think I was probably 7. And then there was 7, 6, or maybe I was 6. 6, 5, 4, 3. We were all out there. That's before the 2 youngest were born. And it was such a wild and wonderful time. And we were dirty. We were rolling around in the dirt, Sure, you're 35. You're not going to roll around in the dirt. Okay, but have fun. Do something a little wild. At least start with reflecting on those times that were wild in your youth. And I don't mean like the wild oats times and all that, but get back to that little girl or that little boy that was so free. And, remember the first time your parents let you ride your bike down the street and back? go recover that time. Just think about it and sit with it and enjoy it and thank God for it. I remember the first time my parents let me go down to the park to watch the softball game. I think I was like 11. And I went down the hill and I was skipping down the hill. I was so happy. And halfway down I fell. I fell on this slate sidewalk that was cracked and I opened up my knee. And it was bloody and I had to go back and whatnot. But it was fun. I was by myself and I was skipping and it was wild. And that's the first step. Recovering those memories, recovering that time, and letting God make you more and more aware of who you are at your core. I think that's enough for now, and I'm glad you came to visit. I hope you come again. So I'll see you soon, and tell a friend if you like this or share it. I'm trying to get some other people to know that there is a YouTube channel here called The Secret Place with Steffa Bennett. So thanks for coming, and God bless you. Bye now.
Breathe, listen, and receive. Take a moment to soak it all in. Until next time.